Iowa, what's going on? You feel that air outside? It's getting cold. Sliding into winter is a good time for us to have a little talk. We're a great state, but there's one thing, at least, that we could do a little better. And I want to talk about that today. It's a little uncomfortable, but we need to discuss it. And it's homelessness. Now, every individual has a preconceived notion about what homelessness is and what it means and how to fix it. Let's go ahead and mash the reset button on all of those preconceptions and just open our minds up and try and learn a little bit. And the first thing we've got to do is talk through some definitions, because if we want to talk to others about homelessness, we've got to use the words that people will understand, especially the people that are trying to solve these problems. Homelessness is measured by counting the number of people that are being served at any one point in time. It's actually called a point-in-time assessment, and it's done towards the end of January every year. The rest of the year, only certain organizations and institutions report those numbers in, but the point-in-time assessment is done by every institution, so it's the one look you get, the best number to go off of for understanding how many homeless people are getting help. The other measure we have to be aware of is service capacity. How much space is there available for homeless individuals in Iowa? Is the volume of need greater than what we can provide? And when we talk about homelessness, a lot of times we talk about the beds available. You probably heard this term when we talk about hospitals or mental health institutions, the number of beds available to service individuals. In Iowa, for instance, in mental health capacity, we have 2 beds for every 100,000 people. The national average is 12 beds for every 100,000 people. The final kind of definition that you need to understand is chronic homelessness. And this is a definition made by the government, because the government is determining what dollars to assign to what regions, states, and organizations. So chronic homelessness has to have a very precise definition so that they can accurately measure one place versus the next. Okay, so understanding those pieces, now we can talk about the different kinds of housing that is available for homeless individuals. You've got day shelters and emergency homeless shelters. You've got halfway housing. You've got permanent affordable housing, drug and alcohol rehab, supportive housing, shared housing, and boarding housing. All of those fit within a different spectrum of the need of the individual being served, and understanding who runs those organizations and how people move through them ends up being paramount into making sure that the individuals that are homeless are served and they're able to escape homelessness. We can start talking about some of the stats in Iowa, and this is what really brings it to life for us so that we can understand how significant or manageable the problem is. Here are your basic Iowa stats. 99 counties, you know this, 3.1-ish million people, and 1.1-ish million families. That's Iowa. And now we'll talk specifically about homelessness. In the 2015 point-in-time assessment, there were 12,918 individuals that had sought service for homelessness. There were also 8,174 individuals who were at risk of homelessness and had sought help from some organization. So that gives us about 20,000 individuals that had either been homeless or at risk of homelessness and needed help from somebody. And included in those numbers were about 2,400 families made up of about 5,800 different individuals. And of that, there were 3,300 children under the age of 18 that needed help with homelessness. So if we've got 1.1 million families in Iowa and 2,400 of them need help, that's only 0.22% of our population. That is a really manageable number when you think of it in terms of the percentage, but when you talk about each one of those 2,400 families, it's still a very big task. And because it happens one person and one family at a time, there are no silver bullets. So we're left with a complicated situation. Different forms of homelessness impact different individuals of different cultures and backgrounds and different family compositions. And all of those require different resources and funding to try and help those individuals out. And the way we've traditionally done this in Iowa, and we've tried, we have a lot of mechanisms to help these individuals out, but we've done it in an amalgamation of a bunch of different service providers trying to help a bunch of different types of individuals. And when you're trying to stabilize someone's health and employment and income and their relationships that lead to that support structure, that's a very difficult task. The individuals that end up homeless oftentimes have ill-defined relationship skills or characteristics about their mental health or behavior that lead them to not being able to form strong relationships with individuals that might be able to help them out. And it's when those relationships and those support structures fail that the people that need help the most slip into this system that we've created and hope that it helps them out. Okay, so that's a lot to take in. I hope you've stuck with me, and I hope that a lot of that makes sense now. Let's create a system that gets those individuals into a place of both health and economic stability. That's a great thing for us to strive for, and one of the things that got me a little more interested and more passionate about this is speaking with Mark Phillips over at the Polk County Continuum of Care. Mark graduated from Central, like I did. I did not know Mark at all through college, but he presented at one of our lunch functions, and I found it really interesting, his organization and what they're trying to do. If you want to learn more about the Polk County Continuum of Care, I'll put some more links in the doobly-doo to that as well. The doobly-doo is actually the notes section below if you're not familiar with that. And because we're getting close to the end of the year, that means in January we're going to have another point-in-time survey. And at that point, you probably expect another video from me talking about the updated numbers and what the Continuum of Care is doing to help out other individuals, and maybe ways that you can get involved with the Continuum of Care or one of the many other organizations that do so many great things for the homeless in our state. If you're in the metro, I'll leave some links as well of places that you can get in contact with to volunteer or to provide funds or food or time. Any of those things are very helpful, especially in Iowa in these winter months when it's cold and those individuals need somewhere to be. Anything we can do to help them is a good thing for us to spend our time on. Thanks for watching.